Hi, this is Captain Anthony DeJulian, and today we're going to rig your basic skipping ballyhoo. So what we have here is a medium-sized ballyhoo. First thing you want to do is take your slowly defrosted ballyhoo, and you're going to take your fingers and press gently down the stomach and move all the guts and waste product out through the vent hole in the back of the fish. Once you do that, you want to take your bait and you want to manipulate it a little bit. You want to kind of give it a little bit of a bend back and forth. Push your thumb down on the top of the backbone to break some of the meat away from the fish's backbone so that the bait is very supple and can move very freely. And now here what we have is we have our basic ballyhoo leader and hook. I have a 100-pound monofilament leader material. And in this case, I'm using a 7/0 ring eye hook, mustad hook. One of the first things that I want to point out is that in many videos, I see people taking the ballyhoo wire or your copper wire and attaching it the wrong way. Under no circumstances do you ever want to attach the wire to the leader or the crimp. It always should be attached to the hook. In order to do that, we'll take our piece of copper wire and we'll go up from the bottom of the hook eye up through the top, bend it down along the upper shaft of the hook, and then wrap several times over the piece that you bent down that shaft. So now you have your copper wire attached to your hook itself. Now we have that ready to go. We're going to pick up our ballyhoo. We're going to estimate about where our hook wants to ride in the bait. So we're going to line it up just like that to see where that spot will be. I'm going to put my thumb right there just to give me a reminder of where that is. And then with a very sharp bait knife, I'm going to take and cut a very straight, short slit in the ballyhoo's belly. Just like that. That brings us to the next stage. A lot of baits you see these days, you'll see people rig them without eyes in them. Now there's a couple reasons for that. When we're fishing in Mexico and other places where we're getting 100 bites a day and we have to rig hundreds of baits during a week, we will take the eyeballs out of the baits so that we can rig them much faster and save some time at night on the dock. And it also keeps us from having a bait or two that may have been rigged incorrectly and therefore the bait would spin. But in this case, when we're only rigging a couple of baits, I like to leave the eyeballs in because I've never seen a ballyhoo swimming around in the wild without eyeballs. So I'm going to turn the bait over. I'm going to take my sharpened mustad hook and I'm going to go right through the gills of the ballyhoo on one side. Whether you're left-handed, right-handed, doesn't matter. And I'm going to bend the ballyhoo so that the hook goes right down the belly and the point of the hook comes out of the slit that we cut earlier. And we're going to pull the rest of that hook into the bait so that the eye of the hook and the crimp and the copper wire and everything we can get is up inside of the head of that ballyhoo so as not to be seen by a fish or to disturb the water or to affect the way the ballyhoo trolls. Then I'm going to take my copper wire, I'm going to go behind both gill latches of the ballyhoo. Once there, once there like that. Now I'm going to continue with my copper wire and I'm going to go through the eyes of the ballyhoo just like that. And then pull it all the way through. Now I'm going to pull that tight and give it a couple little pulls so that it's nice and snug. And then I'm going to continue on and I'm going to come up from the bottom of the ballyhoo up through the top lip of the ballyhoo. Every ballyhoo's upper lip has a separate jaw or jaw latch. And there's a little soft spot right there. We want to use this copper wire by taking it, going through the bottom jaw and then up through that little soft spot in the upper lip. Bring the ballyhoo wire through that hole just like that. And we're going to continue by pulling it all the way through so that it's nice and snug and tight. And then we're just going to continue by wrapping the copper wire over the top of the leader material up the beak of the ballyhoo. Once we get several wraps on there, we can then take our fingers and we can break off the end of the ballyhoo bill. And then we continue wrapping with the copper wire all the way to the end, making sure that the leader stays as straight as possible on that beak. When I get to the end and I still have some copper wire left over, we can simply reverse our track and bring it back down just like that. Okay, now we have a naked skipping ballyhoo, basic ballyhoo. Now if we want to give it a little bit more pop and add some color to it and keep it from being washed out as quickly, we can add whatever type of skirt or lure that we want in front of it. In this case, I have a little Moldcraft soft head, and I'm simply going to insert the other end of the leader through that lure and bring it all the way down the leader, and then make sure that the skirt cinches right down on the bill of the ballyhoo. And there we have a completed skipping ballyhoo with a Moldcraft soft head. And this bait is good for just about any big game fish, blue marlins, sailfish, wahoo, tuna, dolphin. You can catch about anything in the ocean.